What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the BBO Bus. Today I have some very exciting pieces of equipment to share with you guys, and I think this is going to be a game changer for small bus, van, and RV off-grid setups. Let's get these inside and open them up. This is the Mark II portable air conditioner made by Zero Breeze. They sent me this unit so that I can do an unboxing and initial review for you guys on this channel so that you guys can know what is in this product, what it can do for you, and the advantages it brings to your off-grid system. They are not paying me to say anything about this. They want an honest review and honest perspective from someone who lives in a small to medium-sized off-grid vehicle build. Enough of the chit chat. We're going to get in, unbox this, look at everything that's inside, and then before we do a test drive on it, we'll talk about some of the specs, what it can do for you, how it will fit into your build, and the advantages and disadvantages of this unit straight out of the box. Later on this channel, there will be a couple follow-up videos. I do plan on installing this into my vehicle. I'm not going to just have it sitting out and about on the countertops all the time. That will be part 2 of this little series on the Mark II, and part 3 will come in a couple weeks or maybe a month once I've had some time under my belt really using this and seeing how it really works, what it can really do in a space like this. Since they did send this unit to me for free, I do have an affiliate link with them. I've put it down in this description, so please go ahead and check out their website, see if it's going to work for you. Because it's an affiliate link, if you purchase one of these units, I will get a small percentage of kickback, so that helps me and that supports the channel. That's enough of that. Let's open this up and see what's inside and get this thing up and running. All right, we're gonna get straight into the unboxing of this unit and let's see how things go. Here in the first part of the box, we have instruction manual, a little infrared remote with the different settings and speed values. Here's our recommendations, button controls, and user manual. We'll take a look at that in a minute. A few Allen wrenches and spare threaded screws. We're going to see what those are used for in a minute once we get into the user manual. Now, below those, we see what looks like a bunch of venting and tubing hoses. These obviously will bend and extend to full length. This one is the cold air delivery vent, and that would go on the front of the unit once you get it all set up. That way you can actually aim and adjust and direct the cold air coming out wherever you like. And this is the adapter that goes with that. So you attach the hose here on this end, and then this slips on over the front of the unit so that it can blow the air, and then you direct it wherever you want. These ones go on the back of the unit, and this is the ambient air intake and the hot air exhaust for the unit. It's very important when you're using actual AC units to vent your exhaust. Otherwise, you will be blowing cold air out the front and hot air out the back, and you're going to end up pretty much net neutral except down power and down electricity. So these are important because no matter where you set it up, whether you have it sitting on a table or installed somewhere, you're gonna have to vent your hot air. So these are going to be key in managing where that energy goes. So this is the adapter that clips onto the back, and then you have your 2 holes here for each of your 2 vents. They'll attach similarly to the one on the front. Next up in the top section, there's this little hose. This is going to attach to the drain valve for the condensation tray. Any AC unit generates condensation, and the amount of condensation and moisture coming out of an AC unit totally depends on the relative humidity in the area that you're using it. Right here where I'm in a very dry climate, so any AC unit would have relatively little condensation. However, there will always be some condensation, so that moisture needs to be managed somehow. Now, if you use this unit set on a table, cooling down your area for a little bit, it's not going to be a huge deal because there will be a tray and it'll collect. However, once you start to move it and turn it or jostle it, tip it, that moisture will come out. So either you can pop this on there and drain it into a cup or something that you can then dispose of it, or you can attach this more permanently and have it constantly be draining out. That is how I'm going to manage my moisture once I get this installed into its final location. And the last piece up top here, this is the power adapter. It looks like a huge block brick, and this is how you would power the unit from household power, 110 volt power. Now, if you are familiar with the efficiency for inverting power from a battery bank to household 110 AC power, it is not super efficient. So if you were to use this, what you would be doing in your off-grid setup is having DC battery power, 12 volt, 24 volt, 48 volt, whatever you set your system up in. You would then invert it to 110 AC. You would then plug this in, it would go through this block, which would then convert it back down to 24 volt. So with an efficiency of about 80% for inverters, this is not going to be the best way to use your Mark II in an off-grid battery powered setup. Now, it's great that this is in here, because if I take this into a house and plug it in, that's amazing. If I have a wealth of power at some point, then I can totally plug this in, use the power, and it's not going to be a big deal. If you are tight on wattage, tight on amperage, and you really need to be efficient with how your electronics work, this is not going to be the way to go. And I will share in a future video how I'm going to best utilize my setup for this unit. Now, let's take this out. Now, there's a little bit more packaging in here to protect the actual unit. And there it is, the Mark II Zero Breeze sitting down there in the bottom of the box. Let's take that out and we'll get a good look at what it actually looks like by itself. Now that we got this part out of the box, there's one more piece that we need to open up before we can continue with this unboxing and setup process. And that is the battery. Now, the cool part about this unit, well, there's a lot of cool parts about this unit, honestly, but one of them is that it can run off of a battery. It does not need to be constantly plugged in and powered. So with this battery part, you can slap this battery on the bottom of the unit and it will run and cool your space for several hours. We'll talk about the exact specs in a minute, but let's get this opened up, take a look at the battery, and then we'll go over exactly what you will be able to get out of this machine. Okay, in here comes with its own user manual that'll give some recommendations how to use, how to charge. Comes with this little power pigtail because there is no automatic connection plug between the battery and the unit. So you could put the unit on the battery and it won't run. You would have to connect the unit to the battery using this pigtail. Now, when you take it off the battery or when you want to charge the battery, you have to unplug this and then plug in the charging power to the battery. So that's what this pigtail is for. And then here is the battery. Now, if you look on the top, there's 4 hooks and 4 grooves. Those have matching hooks and grooves on the bottom of the unit, and you would slide it on like that. And on this end, there's this yellow latch, and that clicks into a matching latch on the bottom of this so that they won't move and separate from each other. In order to take them apart, you come down to this end and then you slide this latch, release the Mark II off of the battery, and then take it off. Next to the latch here is the power port, and this is where you would both charge as well as plug in the Mark II from the battery. On the other end of the battery, we'll see several ports. First, there's this power button. This is how you turn on the battery. It's not always resting and being powered. So you turn on the battery here. Then there's 2 USB ports. These are quick charge. They're 10-watt ports, so you would charge any modern cell phone really fast off these USB ports. There's also a 45-watt output USB-C. So this would charge an iPad or another tablet that's USB-C based, or a small laptop. And then you have just a basic 5 amp 12 volt output for any other 12 volt accessory that you may have or want to charge off of this battery. Let's see if this battery comes charged straight out of the box. That'd be pretty incredible. I know a lot of tech companies have moved towards having powered accessories right out of the box, so let's turn this on and see what we get. Oh, there are 5 indicator status lights right here, and 4 of them just lit up, so looks like we're about 80% full on the battery straight out of the box. That's pretty fantastic. I love that. Let's get this put together, and then we're going to talk about some of the detailed specs of this unit before we turn it on and give it a test. Since this is the front end of the unit, this is the back end of the unit. The back end of the battery and the back end of the unit both have the power input and outputs, so those need to be matched up. So that's how it's going to go on and attach. The front side of the battery has the power button as well as all those accessory outputs for charging other devices as well. So let's put this on, and then we're going to have one complete setup, and it's going to be ready to go. There it is, just like that. Slides into place, and now it's one put together solid unit. All right, let's talk tech for a few minutes and think about the specs of this and how it can best fit in a van or a bus build like mine or like yours. So this AC unit is rated for 2300 BTU. Now, if you look at a standard portable household AC unit, those run between anywhere 5 to 8,000 BTU. A mini split will get you about 7,000 BTU. That does mean that this is between a half and a third of the potential cooling output of another option. However, the advantage to that drawback is that it also consumes a half to a third of the total power of those units. Not to mention that this is wired to run on DC electricity. Now that does mean that you can completely skip the process of inverting the power from your battery bank to your air conditioner, meaning a huge bump in efficiency coming out of an electronic like this. So this is 2300 BTU. It will not cool a huge space, and it will not make a huge temperature difference in a large area, especially if it's already really hot outside or if you're in direct sunlight. Now, when you take that into account, this is not a solution for a 40-foot school bus that needs to be maintained at 68 degrees. You know, that's not what this is going to do. What this is really designed for is a small space, like a tent, an RV, a van, a short school bus, and to optimally cool the zone that you're in. But if the relative temperature outside is not extreme, it will be proficient at cooling the space as a whole. The rated power consumption on this unit is 240 watts. That's less than my water heater. That's less than a lot of common household accessories that you'd want in a van or a bus build like this, which is fantastic. At 240 watts, my battery bank is 12 volts and I have 300 amp hours of lithium. That means it's going to do a constant current draw of 20 amps. That means that I could run this unit on just my battery bank without any additional solar input for 15 hours straight. That's pretty good, especially considering I will never be in a spot where I run 15 hours straight of this without solar input. Now, on a sunny day like this, where my solar panels are in the sun, I'm probably drawing at least 20 amps, which would mean that I could run this on literally the power that is coming in and off my solar panels without even dipping into my battery bank, which is fantastic. Now, having this be portable does mean that if I'm here and I'm doing some work and I'm doing some editing and I'm, in this space, I can set this up, aim it at me. It's going to cool the zone around me and actually cool the air. Now, you'll see a lot of other advertised units out there that say they will cool your desk, they will cool your zone, but those are evaporative coolers. And one, they aren't very effective at cooling the air. It's just a relative sensation because it's injecting the air with a lot of moisture. And the drawback of that is that you're going to get a lot of humidity in your build, which dealing with condensation and humidity is already one of the challenges when living in a vehicle like this. This will really actually effectively cool the air around you, and if you're not in an extreme temperature zone, it should cool the space entirely. It's a pretty straightforward unit. It looks good, it feels good, like the plastic molding and the construction of this, it is a high quality build. Like I'm loving the look and I'm loving the feel. It feels like it's got some robust nature and design behind it. So let's get this thing plugged in and turned on and see what we get right out of the box. Let's just go over this really quickly and talk about what features it has and what these buttons mean and what they'll do. In order to turn it on, obviously this is the power button, and then this is a plus and minus control. This, if you're in fan mode, which is right here, this will just control the speed of the fan. Strong mode is pretty much just a shortcut to say let's cool as fast as possible with as much fan power as possible. So the next mode here is cooling mode, and that will run the compressor. So the difference between fan mode and cooling mode, fan mode is just going to move air around inside of your space, whereas cooling mode will actively use the compressor and the condenser and the refrigerant to cool the air in your space. Now here, when you're in cooling mode, you can use your plus and minus to change the power of your output, and that of course is going to change the power draw on your batteries. So if you're concerned about your electricity, then use cooling mode and change the power at which you want to have output. Sleep mode will turn off all the other indicator lights in the area. It'll leave this one on unless you do another special process, which is a combination of pushing and holding the fan button and the plus button for 2 seconds, and that will turn all the lights on the whole machine off, even your status light on the back end, so that it is producing as little light as possible. And this light button at the very end, when you turn that on, it'll light up this indicator light around the front end. Here on the front end, you will see that this vent grate actually moves up and down, so that even without using a hose, you can use this, set it up, and direct the direction of the air to some degree. And located in the center of this adjustable grate is a temperature reader, and you can change that between Fahrenheit and Celsius, but this reader will tell you the output temperature of the air coming from the device. It is not a target temperature. You can't tell this to hold your room at 70 degrees or whatnot. By turning this on, it will put out the coldest air possible at a variable level of fan power. That is the context of how this machine works. So here in the center, it'll tell you the temperature that is coming out of the machine. So right when you power it up, it should be pretty close to an accurate temperature reading in the air around you. Within a couple minutes though, this drops pretty quickly. They do advertise that they can do 28 temperature degree difference. So if you have, say, 80 degrees inside of your vehicle, this should be able to get down as cold as 52. I don't know if that's actually possible. At a certain point, if it's cool enough, this won't get that cold. Now there is an indicator light on the back end of the handle on this unit. Right now it is showing red, which means there is power being supplied from the battery. However, the compressor and the condenser and the air conditioning components inside the unit are not active. So even if you would turn this on and run the fan, this would remain red. Once it enters strong mode or cool mode and the compressor and the condenser all are working to cool the air, this will turn blue. So that's the indicator between whether or not it is actively cooling the air or it is not and it's just moving air, or it's just standing in standby mode like it is right now. It's off, but it is receiving power from the battery. So that's why this red indicator light is on. Now, if we turn our attention back to the front end of the unit right now, you will see that there's a very small little plastic pull-out piece right here. And if you remove that rubber piece, you'll expose some threads. And those threads are where you will use those spare screws that came out of the packaging to attach the hose vent on the front end of this machine. So you pull out both those rubber stoppers on either side, set your hose adapter in place, and gently line up and thread the two Allen screws that are going to hold this hose adapter in place. Just like that. Now that adapter is on, and it is very sturdy and secure onto the main unit. And if you look at the inside edge of the adapter, there is some large threads, and those go to match up with the spiral shape of the vent hose. So a few twists of that, and then the vent hose is going to be securely placed in there, which you can then pull to extend and direct as needed. Now the back end attaches a little bit more simply because there are actual clips and releases on this one. So you will drop the little teeth in the bottom side and then flip it up to the top, and it'll snap in place just like that. And then the same thing goes for how you attach the vent hoses to the inside edge of these. Removing the rear assembly is as easy as stashing your hoses and then pushing the release clip on the top, and then it comes off just like that. Now that we've gone over the unboxing, the packaging, the accessories, the controls, and how it works and how to use it, the last thing we need to talk about regarding the Mark III by Zero Breeze is the price point. Yes, this is listed as MSRP at $1,500. That includes the unit as well as a battery. You can get the unit by itself if you're going to hardwire it into your system, and that will run you about $1,200. Now, that may seem really steep, and yes, I thought that as well when I first started looking into this. However, if we do some math on what it gets you and how your alternatives add up, it is a little bit comparable to a mini split or even a rooftop unit. The roof units will run you $1,100, $1,200, but the efficiency on those, as well as the power draw, would require you to have a certain size battery bank. If you're like me and you have 300 amp hours, in order to power one of those rooftop units or a mini split, I would need probably at least 400 amp hours of lithium, which that upgrade alone would cost me another $1,000. Now, of course, upgrading your battery gets you certain advantages here and there, but that is a $1,000 investment just in order to power your air conditioning. That doesn't even take into consideration the cost of the air conditioning itself. So your rooftop unit will run you $1,100 to $1,500 as well. A mini split, the initial price is between $600 and $700. However, if you're running it on a battery, you have to remember that when you get a mini split, you need to have either a mini split that includes a soft start capability, or you'll spend another $200 to $300 on a soft start unit, which will protect your batteries from the high amperage draw that mini splits require in order to start up their system. So that could add up to $800 to $1,000 for a mini split investment as well, and that doesn't include the investment that you would have to add to your battery bank if you had a battery bank the size of mine. So the cost evens itself out relatively well. Yes, this does not have the cooling capacity of a mini split or a head top unit like the Dometic ones that you put in the roof. However, if you're in a small vehicle like mine or a van, you probably don't need 7,000 BTU. If you're parked in the shade, if you're in a place that you just need a little bit of cooling, if you need to just cool the air a little bit while you're sleeping, aim it at your bed so that you can have a comfortable environment to fall asleep in, you don't need 7,000 BTU. Open a window, get some breeze, add a little bit of cooling, and it'll go a long ways. I'm very excited about this unit. I'm excited to get some tests on it. This video has just been an unboxing and an introduction and a walk over the features and the settings. I will be releasing a couple more videos, one in which I install it into my space and get a good test out of it, and another in which I give an honest feedback and review after I have several weeks of use out of this unit and can get some experience under my belt with how it works and if it really does make a difference in my space. I want to thank Zero Breeze very much for sending me this unit. Again, check out the link below if you go and purchase one. That is an affiliate link, just letting you know. It'll help me out, it'll help my channel out, and hopefully you'll be happy with this unit as well. I'm excited to get into this. Stay tuned, subscribe down below. Don't forget to like the video as well, and we'll see you next time in the BB Bus, where we talk more about the Zero Breeze Mark II. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye.